welcome to another edition of Hardway, a pro wrestling story here on the Rival Forge Wrestling channel. And wherever you get your favorite podcast from, my name is Brian Maverick Bertrand, and with me, as always, to my left, the number one man with a chainsaw for a hand, Bullet Blaine Davis. Bullet, how's it going?
Welcome to Hardway. It's never easy, it's always hard. This is a pro wrestling story. We stop and we talk about either what's happening now, what we used to love, what we loved somewhere in between. But at the end of the day, this is about talking about pro wrestling. So you might get an update on what's happening today, tomorrow. You might also get us just reminiscing about a match from King of the Ring in 1996.
That's just the perfect way to start it off. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you for that, Bullet. Up next, to my right, the one, the only, the business, Lawrence Adams Business. How are we doing today? You're looking great.
I'm trying to remember if there were any good matches at King of the Ring 96. What was the card?
That was the year that Austin won.
I think it was Mankind Shawn Michaels as the main.
Oh, wow. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Got you, bitch.
Did he do the header through the table on that one, or was that on Raw? I can't remember.
We'd have to go back and look.
We'd have to do a watch along one day. That's not a bad idea.
You should do
I mean,
that
it was better than me calling out like a WCW paper from 1991, which I loved.
Yeah.
But you would have also seen Barry Windham
Right.
and like RoboCop on the same card.
His RoboCop, yes.
Yeah.
Who was Evil Sting?
Was that Evil Sting as RoboCop? I didn't know that.
No, it was all. They had good wrestlers. They had fucking Steve Austin, Ricky Steamboat, Brian Pillman. Like, the list goes on of that 1990 to 94 WCW, and they just could not figure out how to fucking make money out of it.
Yeah, clutch and defeat from the jaws of victory, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, it's shocking to me. I was, like we said, as a pro wrestling story, in the earlier parts of me falling in love with wrestling, I was watching Ron Simmons and Sting and Brian Pillman, and even, I dare to say, Marcus Bagwell or Alex Wright. And these were all of this like 91 to 94 period where, like, if you didn't watch the main event, WCW had like the best wrestling on the fucking planet.
Yeah, they did have. I'll give you that. The horizontal booking, and that was fantastic.
I think they had like the absolute best undercard of any of them. Like even from the territories and all that, like the undercard, you had international guys come out. You seen guys from Mexico, Japan, Germany with Alex Wright, like you said, UK with William Regal and Doug Taylor. And
sorry, did you say Mexico and Japan? Because they love it in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada. Sorry. No, I'll stop.
You still got that Joe Hendry believing going on, and
oh Lord.
But then also, no, they had great Muda Sting tagging and against each other. They had the fucking Steiner brothers. They had the Legion of Doom.
They had they had WCW guys even traveling to Japan. They formed the NWO Japan, and like even all that. They had an amazing undercard going back and forth to these different areas, and it really became.
I'm probably getting the name wrong too. Flair versus Hashimoto or whatever it was.
Hashimoto, yeah.
Did full valet entrances.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like that was like 92
right there.
Right? Like,
92?
How could a company just fail that bad? Well, we're talking about AEW today, so
that was what I was going to bring up next, was like, speaking of competitions to WWE, we are switching gears today to bring up All Elite Wrestling And right off the bat, I watched the growth of AEW since before there was a growth of AEW. My big thing with that was back in 2014, 2015, during the New Japan rise when Bullet Club started becoming big. And then they had
Cody's move over.
When Cody moved over, yeah, when Bullet Club was getting big, and like that was sort of the like beginning inklings of
Cody's move over wasn't until 2018 or 19.
I thought it was 20. No, because it was before that. I want to say 2017 maybe. I'm thinking. But even before that, even before Cody came over, the Bullet Club, you had Kenny and the Young Bucks taking that over and starting their kind of like popularity rise, where people actually notice, hey, they're kind of like the NWO with like good wrestlers, without the ego. But they and then out of that, after Cody Rhodes came over in like 2017, 2018. You saw more of a rise on that, and then now coming into AEW in 2019, which, if history serves me right, we actually started that same week too when we were running San Jose, but but now it's like ever since AEW started, it like the last 5-6 years, 5 years now, it's been a major shift in sort of how wrestling outside of WWE is perceived. Do you guys agree with that, or what?
I agree with that to an extent. I mean, I want to make it clear before I spend the bulk of the show just shitting all over everything. It certainly is not my desire that AEW fails. Like the fact that there's that much talent getting a paycheck right now, that's fantastic news. But the issues are kind of far and wide insofar that they don't seem to find any footing with a consistent tone. I would say that it's a commonly made argument that AEW is like sort of they present a style not seen in WWE, but then the question is, what is that style? Because they're all over the map. I mean, your first match on the card can kill the main event just by virtue of the amount of high spots in it.
Yep.
So I mean, they've got their issues, and I really think a lot of it is pretty easy to fix. They certainly have the talent. But I'm not sure it's as academic as that. I think it's just a failure of organization.
Well, what about you?
You got me. You got me going full anvil. So prior to Cody, sort of because where AEW and the first, I think it was All In, came from was literally Cody taking a dare from fucking 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
Sure.
Right.
Where he said,
could
you actually put 10,000 people into an arena? And they did. And there's a lot to be said for what and how AEW was built. And there's also a lot to be said for the fact that they finally found this is going to sound like I'm being a hater, but this is actually like a very true sentiment. They found a billionaire baby who was willing to pay the boys. And so I will never, in a rare occasion, again, agreeing with the bullet or with the business, I will never be upset I will never be upset at the boys making money. Yeah. And competition absolutely helps the business. And for the first 2 years,
strong. I was going to say that argument is strong because look at where WWE was when AEW started, and look at where WWE is now. And I don't think that you get the quality of content we're seeing out of the main brand, so to speak, without AEW constantly biting at their heels with AEW is willing to try stuff that WWE isn't willing to try, right? There's matches on the card that we're about to talk about that have some moves in them that made me pop, and you're not going to see them in a WWE wrestling ring. So there is something to be said for that. I think there's a strong argument for competition making everything better.
Yeah, I always thought that having the monopoly of WWE for 18 years was probably the worst thing to happen in pro wrestling. And
Yes.
and even now with AEW running the way it's running, you're seeing a lot of the tribalism based on based on that monopoly of the 18 years of them just watching that because that's all they had. And where you guys and I all know, we had territories, we had AWA and NWA back then, we had WCW, we got to see wrestling. Like as fans of that long, we've seen years of the evolution of pro wrestling into what we have now. You mentioned business with certain matches killing the main event and later on in the show. I fully agree with that. AEW to me, we're fully spoiled by good matches. Bryan Danielson, Hangman Page is a perfect example. Their series of matches on Dynamite have been phenomenal. There's been so much in terms of good wrestling that it's harder for us to differentiate between who to root for and who not to, because AEW presented the fact that the heel face dynamic, while it still works in some capacity, it's not the same anymore. And I think that's what we have as far as the fans go. We're trying to figure out who to root for. We're trying to figure out all that. So I mean, but we're still spoiled by phenomenal fucking wrestling. So, but
yeah.
Speaking,
I mean, tribalism.
Yeah,
that you mentioned tribalism. Tribalism works as a business model in pro wrestling, right? I mean, look at the ECW.
It works as a business model in business.
I just meted myself. But it does, though. I mean, look at ECW, right? The fans there were rabid, and they were not going to be told that their entertainment was not the best entertainment in the history of entertainment, right? Like that, those people, the marks there, they were a different type of mark. I think you see that with AEW to a certain extent, but the problem is AEW's audience is alienating more than it is including, and you can't run that type of a model, in a 20,000 seat arena, and especially when you're not filling them, and expect it to grow.
When you say alienating, what do you mean?
I mean, you have that same type of like rabid fan base that is telling you that their wrestling is the best wrestling and it's the only wrestling that's out there. And your casual WWE fan is just they'll maybe flip the channel over there, but when it comes to buying a ticket, they're going to choose one over the other every single time.
It makes sense.
There's that tribalism is beneficial when you have a small territory. It's not beneficial when you're trying to run a national campaign. I think that's what we're seeing.
I agree.
It both of you. No, I get to play the baby. No, there's an absolute fact to AEW catering to a very specific core audience. They also have access to and are able to book wrestlers from leagues that WWE can't. And so we are getting stuff that is like the sort of dream scenario for a certain amount of fans. And I'm one of those fans. I'm not watching them enough. I should be more, but I'm seeing those matches happen of people from Japan and people who are competing in the G1 and all that kind of stuff, or the female competitors. Like, there is a middle ground where you can look at AEW and say they are booking the best wrestling on the planet right now. However, they're not booking the most watchable TV right now.
And I agree. And
Sure.
that makes sense. And I think, and that goes back to what I said. We're spoiled by those good matches. by the good wrestling. It's constant on TV every week, but for some reason, I don't know how they do it. But with all that said about the watchable TV, they put on some great pay-per-views, and especially the one coming up with All In 2024. This is their second time coming back out to Wembley Stadium. The first one was great, led to CM Punk getting fired from AEW, which but it was a good. But last year was great. This year looks to be great. First off, we're gonna go 0 Hour, Willow Nightingale, and Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan taking on Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway.
No.
Before
we get into that.
Oh, okay, fine.
Who made more money, Maverick, off of CM Punk leaving AEW?
I gotta agree with him on this one. Punk's laughing his way all the way to the bank.
That's true.
Actually,
but
it's tight in sport, but
yeah, that's true. You're right. He is now that it's the only place to go, and they were gonna want him back anyway. Now that Vince McMahon is gone, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I got a New Jack size garbage can full of dicks for you to eat, and we can go on from there.
Well, actually, but I gotta say this before we jump into the pay-per-view. Let's back up to the TV beforehand.
Yeah. Let's do that first. Let's do Dynamite first.
Yeah, let's go back to Dynamite because that's gonna give me any type of perspective is gonna come from what we saw in the previous week for me.
So Hangman Adam Page kicked this off. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. Mercedes Moné kicked this off, defending her TBS title against Hikaru Shida successfully. And Mercedes Moné's been great, but she's definitely the chicken shit heel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, she's doing a pretty decent job as far as that part goes.
Yeah. Like it's not bad. And plus, now that she has Camille, who came over from NWA, seeing her in there is just it's a great pairing. Very good pairing.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with you on that one. I think Camille is probably, well, I mean, ideally they're headed for Camille versus Mercedes, right? I mean, that would be the match to eventually watch. The match on Dynamite had its moments. The finish was a little sloppy, unfortunately. But I think that watching Mercedes Moné leave WWE in the way that she did, having the heat on her that she had, coming in to play that chicken shit heel and basically confirm what everyone thought was happening, like basically play the character everyone thinks she's supposed to be. I think that's pretty smart. I think that's one of their. That's a good reason to put a belt on her.
I agree.
I think Mercedes, as long as you don't leave her alone with a microphone, works.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Camille, and maybe this is something we have to do as a show. Go back and do a Lucha Underground look back, because Camille was one of the sort of core, like she was the China of Lucha Underground, and she's sort of continuing to carry that role, but with a little more personality, not just stoic silence. That's
what was missing in NWA, was that personality. I barely kept up with Lucha Underground personally. I could not stand Guido. I do not like Guido.
How long has Taz been with the company?
He's been there since, I want to say day one.
I think
most of the time,
really? Yeah.
I must have stroked out there somewhere.
He's like just about 4 years in. I think maybe 6 months in, Taz was part of their crew.
All right,
that sounds right.
It just goes to show.
Next match.
Sorry, my quick thing is that I think that Camille has more to show, and her character has always been booked as sort of reserved, and I think that there's some room for that to level up. So I don't know who wins, but I think, and then Mercedes Moné again, like, just let her wrestle. Don't fucking put her next to a microphone.
She
Yeah,
needs a mouthpiece.
I have to wonder too. Because she's been in AEW for a little while now, but she came from WWE, which was, you know, and the time that she came from WWE, it was definitely a timed wrestling, scripted wrestling from beginning to end method of wrestling, right? There was not the new, like now that Hunter and Sean are basically running the show, there's still the time called spots, but they're getting to them with actual work, right?
But
And so
even in NXT, her match with Bailey is like literally one of the best women's matches of all time. Period.
You're right.
Like
You're absolutely right on that. Yeah.
Top 4, top 5, like one of the best ever. And they were doing it as each other, but they'd also worked fucking 230 matches against each other.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, but you're absolutely right.
Like,
it's not like she's just getting her feet wet with the
wrestling.
company to let her actually work. So I guess you're right on that one. I was just the time something seemed a little off on this match to me timing wise. I think maybe they just hadn't actually gotten ever that much working against each other with between her and Sheeta.
I think it's a chemistry thing with Sheeta. Sheeta's been there since day one, and she's been. I think with Monet, you're right. It's a different style for her, but I give her respect. I mean, ever since after WWE, she went to Japan and went with Stardom. As soon as that started up, she had a thing. She had a feud with Willow Nightingale before she got injured for the NJPW Strong Women's Championship.
But which promo leading up to her fight with Willow got you excited?
All of them. Coming back into it.
What did she say?
I cannot remember off the top of my head. What are you thinking?
That's the whole thing.
Is cream rises to the top, right?
She was in NXT. Dusty was still alive, and she was doing promo class with Dusty.
Yeah.
And still, Mercedes cannot have a microphone by herself and not sound like a fucking. Again,
as far as the build,
is from somebody who has failed acting at like 10 different genres.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean, with all that hype and all that, the promo skills could have been better. But then again, I don't remember promos like in general, like details of stuff like that. But that's all right. I mean,
do you remember Hard Times? I was the son of a plumber.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Take your vitamins and say your prayers.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can say that about anyone in AEW. They don't have that sort of thing. Well, Swerve's house maybe, but like you don't have a lot of the memorable characters that WWE was able to create.
Which is an interesting point in and of itself, right?
Right. And when it comes to memorable talent with AEW, it's a different dynamic because of the world-class tier wrestlers they bring in from all over the place. Kenny Omega being one of the more well-known international wrestlers, doing that, coming in. So I mean, it's all a different sort of perspective when it comes to pro wrestling, going into this new company, and with these different styles, because then that's when you get the massive cards that they put on. Yeah. So,
and I have to be nicer. I'm healing on everyone right now.
Don't have to heal on everyone. There's a lot of good talent to go over. Next match on the card, Hangman Adam Page, and our next match on Dynamite, Hangman Adam Page defeating Jay Lethal. I love Adam Page. I love the Magnum TA look. Come on. That facial hair going on, it's so perfect for him. That's what we need.
The dead eye on the apron looked like it absolutely should have killed Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
And that's the go home. Like, what are you doing getting up after that? I mean, I get it that it was the answer to the 50 dives out of the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even against that spot. I thought that was done very well. It was a really good way to get a very top guy on his ass early in the match. But to answer it with your finish on the fucking apron and then not go home, I can't. Can't support it. As someone who was trained by Buddy Rose Nowakowski, I vote no on that type of thing. And I know that's probably you can already address your complaints to the business Lawrence Adams at rivalforgewrestling.com.
There you
but
go.
No, YouTube.com. Wreck his pinball channel.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the hell they're thinking. And again, to me, that sounds like an agent backstage who's a mark for himself, and it's just a mark for them, and it's just letting them do whatever the fuck they want in the ring. If that was proposed anywhere in a locker room that I was working, that would never have been allowed to happen.
For them, sorry to clarify, for them to go forward after that spot.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end. I mean, dude, it was an awesome spot. I mean, I'm taking nothing away from those two guys as performers and as wrestlers. It looked, the whole match up to that point was perfect and looked amazing. But when you do that, and then you just pop right back up and keep going, it's like, what the fuck?
It killed it.
It's a match that I think was very good for Jay Lethal to have, but man, I wish we could get a good Jay Lethal run someday in AEW, somewhere. Like, he's got to hold a belt somewhere, because he's a great talent no matter what.
And I don't think it as much as I hate to agree with Lawrence, like,
you've been agreeing with him a lot.
That should have been a finish. But the fact that we got Jay Lethal at all at his age in a second-tier company, I don't care what you fucking say about it, there are.
Yeah.
The fact that you got all of that combined and had him still able to sort of kick out, fight out, get another few finishes in, I'm here for Jay Lethal. The only thing that sucked about it for me was that Jay Lethal didn't win.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's the Jeff Jarrett association.
Well, listen, yeah, here's one of the positives. Double J, using him to elevate top talent and using him in that position is probably the smartest thing the company could do with him right now.
Absolutely.
Which, who the fuck would have guessed 20 years ago?
Right? Again, that's, you want to talk positives, that is exactly something that should be doing right now. Like, that's perfect. I wouldn't change a hair on the head of that plan.
Yeah.
Nope. And Jay Lethal, I think, is far enough along in his story that he knows where he's useful, like R-Truth.
Sure.
Right. And I think more wrestlers...
that sounded fucking terrible. I just compared it to fucking comedy black wrestlers. That's fucking awful.
Yeah, we're going to get heat for that.
The Miz.
Yeah. Billy Gunn.
Yes.
This is the shit we're trying to avoid here, Bullet. Come on, man.
Dude, when would it be you and me bailing each other out of the fucking pits?
We've been bailing each other out for years.
But with Hangman now, it's starting to tie more into... He's been on a big tear. His whole thing with Swerve, trying to go back after him for the world title. Now that Swerve is champion, like, he's been targeting Swerve, but his association with the Young Bucks seems to be in the way with his current angle, and like, now the Bucks are putting up obstacles before they give him Swerve. I don't know why they're waiting on it. They should have signed that a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I lost the thread there when you were talking, but the looked like the Young Turks last time I saw them.
Sometimes your question is the answer.
Sometimes.
You said, I don't know why the Young Bucks are hampering this thing moving forward, and that's actually the answer.
Right. Yep. That's why I didn't ask it as a question. So, but no, like, next match on the card here, or on from. I totally lost train of thought now.
It's all right. Let's move on.
We'll move on to the next match.
You just took what we call a powder.
Yes.
Yep. You did.
Orange Cassidy defeating Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Great to see Kyle O'Reilly back wrestling again.
I'm not,
Yes.
this is going to be obvious from my statements from the previous match. I'm not the biggest Orange Cassidy fan, but I did find certain parts of this match to be very well constructed, I guess. I mean, and it's hard for me to even say that because I don't like at the moment you start talking about things like working several moves in a sequence or being a great sequence. That type of stuff drives me nuts because it's all just winking at the audience and letting everybody know that it's a bunch of phony wrestlers in the ring, and that pisses me the fuck off. But I will say that some of the stuff in this match was very. I mean, again, the athleticism. I can't take anything away from them. I just wish that they would take their jobs more seriously, or that some booking agent in the back would. I don't know. It just. God damn it! It pisses me off to see that shit.
A lot of Cirque du Soleil stunts.
Yeah, I mean, WWE has used the metaphor of the three-ring circus for a long time, and AEW is literally a three-ring circus. I mean, all you need is they have the chairs in the middle of the ring and stuff like that. All they need is the lion. But again, athletically, like the spot where Orange takes he takes the seat and the chair, and the other guy goes over the top rope. I can't remember who took the dive out, but that stuff. I mean, the timing on that was flawless. It looked great. It just, Why to so much of it? Why?
Spoiled.
No, Brian, I'm gonna let you answer the why. I honestly I like what Orange Cassidy, as Jim Cornette might say. I like what he's built. Same as a Danhausen, same as a Joe Hendry, same as motherfucker. If your merch table makes money and people want to pay you $2,000 to come in for one night, I can't be mad at you.
Yeah.
But for a show like AEW, Maverick, I want to hear why you think his match going forward matters.
Because it builds him up for the Casino Battle Royal, which we're going to get into when we talk about All In. But I've been a good fan. I've been a fan of Orange Cassidy for a while, ever since his feud with Jericho. But going into this match with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, he's trying to show that he doesn't want to be. I guess they were trying to do something with Roderick Strong and recruiting Cassidy for the Kingdom. So going into this match, it kind of like separates him, and then going into the Casino Battle Royal at All In, it kind of makes him look stronger, kind of gives him the advantage going into it.
All right, I buy that. I actually buy that. I think
yeah.
You have a better handle on what the actual angles are.
Because it pushes him forward away from that, because he's been trying to get in an alliance with Willow Nightingale and all that. So I think that it makes him look stronger going into it. I know that they were trying to do something with the Undisputed Kingdom for a while, but a lot of it gets thrown to the wayside with AEW sometimes. A lot of their storylines kind of like go nowhere. But then again, WWE's done that too.
And I've watched Orange. They've been letting him not just unleash a hot tag. He's been getting wrestling in. I'm a Cassidy fan. I'm a Danhausen fan. I'm a Hook fan. All these things that have this very narrow one-sided gimmick. I'm just very confused about what they do.
And they throw confusion at you with the comedy. Like how Orange Cassidy does with the pockets and the little spots he does. And it's great. It's entertaining, and it kind of hides a lot of whatever flaws that you guys would normally see. It would hide those flaws in him going into it. So
yeah, again, I buy that. Again, I think that a lot of what's being constructed here is for the sort of the audience that is into AEW is going to be checking these things out. I'm guessing there's also you follow a lot of this stuff online, right? There are things happening on Twitter and Facebook or just in the dirt sheets in general that are things you'd have to keep up
God forbid Reddit.
God forbid Reddit.
Right. But I'm just saying that's the type of fandom that they really attract, and which is great because those people are rabid and they're never going to leave their side. But if you tune in and you're an old school wrestling fan or even a 90s wrestling fan, you tune in to AEW and this match comes on, you're thinking, what the fuck just happened? It is one of those kind of, it appears, indie backyard nonsense. I hate to say it that way, but it does.
And that's how a lot of AEW would feel. I can agree with that completely. Next match here on the card, the Young Bucks defeat the Acclaim by DQ. Of course, another schmoz storyline that they're doing here. You're shaking your head, Bullet. What's going on? What's going through your head?
Man, so I talked about how the schmoz is dead, right? The interference is alive. Somebody coming in to help you, but the referee doesn't see it, and you win clean. This was one of those, like, everybody just smashes the ring and it falls apart.
It's a Nitro ending.
Yeah.
Like, this was also, a Nitro main event.
You guys take it. That's my piece. You guys take it.
Winning by DQ and all that. I agree. Go ahead, Lawrence.
I mean, the Bucks they haven't. When was the last time they worked? Like, I mean, in the ring worked. Like, when was the last time they were actually wrestling?
Double or Nothing. So 3 months ago.
Yeah. So I mean, this was either put them on TV so people know they still exist thing, right?
Well, because then they started bringing in Okada and doing the whole Elite versus AEW thing without actually defending the titles. But yeah,
right. So they are setting up an angle for them to continue working more, probably.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean that would be ideal. At least as far as making what just happened make sense.
Right.
I think that you're always going to get this type of a match with this type of finish on shows eventually. There's nothing new here right under the sun, and there's nothing we haven't seen before. I think this was a fan service match, and in so doing, because the crowd was hot for it, I really don't have anything to say one way or the other about it, other than, it just same old. Yeah,
it's a typical Young Bucks storyline where they're gonna book themselves to win, even if it's a DQ kind of finish. I did not like that. I didn't like that one at all. Next match on the card, final main event of the evening: Swerve Strickland defeating.
Christ, I thought we would literally never get to the end of it because Tony Khan books 43 matches a card.
Yeah, this was God.
It honestly feels like some of the cards I used to work back up in Portland, where they'd be like, "We're doing 14 matches, literally, and you're there for 4 hours," and it's just like one of the worst.
This was 5 matches.
You only draw 25 people, and by the end of the card, there's 2 left, and you're like, "What the?" No,
and you only worked 4 minutes, and there was still 14 matches on the card.
Yeah.
Although, hey, this match though. Dude, did anybody see Swerve's gear? Jesus Christ, the dude looked amazing.
He looks.
What the hell?
Wow.
That's the best thing I love about Swerve Strickland the most. He knows how to carry himself like a champion.
He's the only one on their card that looks like a champion.
He's the only one that has done it. Everyone's been, John Moxley's been pouring blood all over it. Hangman wasn't doing much with it. Kenny Omega was doing jobber matches with it. Like it now it's being looked at and treated like a championship. The only other person that got close was MJF when he was changing it to the Triple B with the burlap or the what's it called, the plaid pattern he had, Burberry. He made a Burberry strap for it. Like
MJF wasn't bad, actually. You're right about that. But
I'm still with you guys. You're gonna have to put in a Burberry plaid overlay because I have to piss so bad.
No problem. We'll take care of you there. But yeah, like I think that as far as like how he treated him, I'm lowering my desk by the way. He kept the title relevant. He took it to MLB games. He's been on TV, holding that belt and putting it out there. He's going to his home promotion and hyping up the Defy crowd there and really like saying that he is the king of the mountain and showing it. And that's what I think that AEW needs, is people that can hold themselves like a real champion.
Yeah, no, if they had 5 swerves on their card, we'd be having a much different conversation. But regardless, I thought the match was pretty fantastic. I think that it was. I mean, again, it sucks that the previous match was a schmoz DQ, but the fact that Yuta has a win, even by DQ over Strickland, that's, to me, that is some actually smart booking and smart storytelling. First match of the night that I've judged that way. But I think this is the match. This is what will draw the crowd, right? The main event. Whereas I think most AEW fans might argue that they do really good horizontal booking, that the entire card is what's exciting. But I really think for a TV audience, this is what looks like a fight. This looks like the main event.
Right, and they
You
have...
were talking, Lawrence. You were talking about Yuta Wheeler.
Yeah.
Does somebody else we worked with remind you of him?
Oh yeah, it's a total Mike Hayashi ripoff.
I swear to God, they're
the American
clones.
Dragon, doesn't he? Didn't he do that the first night he was with us?
No, Daniel Bryan did the American Dragon, but that was after Mike Hayashi had it.
Gotcha.
No, Mike Hayashi was he's the angry dragon. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, the angry. Okay.
But my God,
I only locked up with him once, and I never want to do it again. That dude can go.
Spitting image, though.
Dude, and everyone who's a fan or logging in recently to Hardway, Rival Forge Wrestling, you can see shows. Mike Hayashi, he's our age now. He's approaching 40, whatever it is. He's one of the best wrestlers you will ever see and might not ever see again.
Yeah, he's still going.
And I feel, and I feel like I have to plug him now. And Rick Luxury can go fuck himself, and he's like 92 years old, and you might see him again too.
I get along with Rick pretty well, actually.
Oh yeah, well that fucking makes sense.
That tracks. Yeah,
but I have to say, Wheeler Yuta, when I saw him with the goatee, I was like, that was Mike Hayashi's job 10 years ago. But part of what Lawrence and I were guilty of was being ahead of our time.
Yeah, I've always been accused of myself of that, even before it was popular.
Yeah,
or behind your time, right?
Right.
I was flip-flopping, flying. You were Buddy Rosing and fucking healing and scooting your dick on the dirt, powdering out.
Yep.
But there was a very beautiful middle ground where we were doing something that, again, just to touch back to a pro wrestling story, Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
He's being paid by every big company right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked for us several times. Like
half the people that work for us have gotten big paydays.
Yep.
So I'm not upset about it.
I love Thatcher. I just watched him take on Minoru Suzuki at Bloodsport 11. Ooh, that's a good match.
Yeah.
Again, I saw that and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like I've been hip tossed by that guy.
Yeah.
Fucking Mark.
100%, dude. 100%.
But I will forever be a Timothy Thatcher mark. That guy is awesome to watch. 100%.
All right, what do you have next? Are we going into All In or
no? I say we do All In after All In is All In because I don't have enough perspective to talk about people that are on the card without watching them.
Well, I wanted to touch on Yuta real quick. Going back to what Wheeler Yuta has done in AEW, becoming part of BCC, and ever since then he became Ring of Honor Pure Champion, probably one of the best they've had. And he can go. Like I've watched him. I've watched him on New Japan Strong. I watched him, going all over the AEW partnerships, and he's put on amazing matches. So he's no slouch in the ring. And I said he's a clone of Mike Hayashi. That's the truth. This guy can go as far as like in-ring work, as far as high flying and doing. He's a very good all-rounded wrestler, and I think if you guys watch Wheeler Yuta more, you will love him just as much as I do, for sure.
No, I don't doubt it. His work with Strickland here was great. Strickland's use of the backbreaker to keep cutting him off. I thought was, A+, man, top notch. I thought that this is a match I want to see over and over again. So I think AEW is doing something right with their main event.
Yep.
I'm just glad they changed his theme song finally.
I literally couldn't pay enough attention to know the theme songs, but wrestling wise, so here's my quick sort of throwouts. Darby Allin fighting what's his tits?
Jungle Boy?
Jack Perry's son.
Yeah.
Is
Luke Perry's son.
Luke Perry's son, Jack Perry. Is exhausting, and the fact that they didn't have enough control in the truck to keep a Taco Bell commercial from interrupting it.
Yeah, that
was awful. So we'll see how that goes. But in my opinion, CM Punk has made more money than WWE has from that feud versus AEW. I think Chris Jericho and Hook, I think, is going to be a good match. I also think that Jericho just has no business trying to say or promote who is next young in this business.
Yeah.
Because he tried to cut a whole promo on Hook, and Hook's whole gimmick, whether you like him or hate him, is literally saying one word.
Yeah.
He's mute. Yeah. He's a Goldberg style character, but with actual fucking talent. So,
and it's
so
weird.
The fact that Jericho cut like 2 minutes on him and then expected him to come back with something, I'm like, you guys are wasting your fucking time.
That was the fireball, eyeball resolution, right?
Yeah, and then he did come out and cut a promo, and I mean, it was a better promo than I expected. But
sure.
Well, it is Jericho. I mean, you gotta give him that.
But Hook actually talked, and it sounded weird, but it was like probably something that he needed that we all could have like wanted to hear from him. So
yeah, Hook's promo was like, in like after COVID, when people you'd only see him with their masks on would take off the mask, and you're like, oh, you should probably put that shit back on.
He's trying, yeah. He's giving it a shot
in the promo.
Are you getting coffee too? Hi. And then put it back on. But he does have that benefit of like, he's trained well. We know that. We've seen that with Hook.
Right.
And he's trained in a position with a sort of lineage where he can fucking... Honestly, if they do this match with Jericho and Hook like double underarms him like 3 times, Germans him twice, and then just pins him, I'd be like, okay, that was one of the best matches of the fucking year.
Yeah. I don't see that coming though. I've never seen an AEW match that was like, I mean, I guess time-wise they're under 4 minutes, but they get enough moves in to be an hour and a half. So
I've never seen a Chris Jericho match where he gives up somebody the fucking spotlight.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's so... God damn it. Fuck you. God damn it.
Did you just agree with him again?
They stay relevant this long.
Yeah.
That's not that easy, brother. You gotta fucking, especially when you start getting the pitch hits like you gotta fucking do something.
Yeah.
I want to be so mad at you, but you're right. Fuck.
We're breaking the internet today. Bullet Blaine Davis. Headline, dirt sheet headline. Bullet Blaine Davis agreeing with the business Lawrence Adams. That's not okay. It's causing issues right now.
The world's colliding.
No, just literally like we meet up at the gym and the pool like frequently, and it can cause a problem where we get removed by the HOA, security, the police. Like it's fucked.
But I think that with how big that AEW has grown, I'm okay with the indie booking. I'm okay, like, and you guys, and we all know that.
Sorry, who's indie booking?
Yeah, you might. I understand the sentiment, man, but look at their gate though. It's so.
Yeah.
I mean, they cannot fill a 4,000 person arena, let alone a 20,000 person.
No,
arena.
it's anemic. It's anemic, and that's why they literally announced their biggest pay-per-view like 2 months out.
No, right. I'm concerned they're not going to be able to fill Wembley. I'm actually like, how are they going to do gate-wise? I know because they're out of the country, maybe they'll do better, but there's a lot of wrestling in a lot of places right now. So
Sure.
I wonder what their gate's going to be.
I think it'll be big. I think it'll be bigger. It's just not going to be as big as it was last year.
No, and what I'm sorry, Maverick, you mentioned not being able to fill a certain space without somebody's name, and I just want to know what name you meant.
Wait, what name? I didn't say a name.
Well, you could say his name and he might appear.
He might appear. Do we believe in Joe Hendry?
Oh, baby.
Surrounded by marks everywhere I go.
Swear, man.
All right, hey, he's selling T-shirts and fucking action figures, and if that is not what a good pro wrestler is, I don't know what is.
That's true. But I don't know. Like, that's sort of the difference that we see with the two companies is that AEW is booked more like an indie show, whereas WWE is booked more like a TV show, which would make sense because they have advertisers and all that. But now it seems like more elements are going backwards. Picture in picture was barely a thing with WWE until AEW came along. There's a lot of elements, so it helps. So having someone like AEW present new ideas production wise is good for everybody.
Yes.
That's 100% true. They just need to find the stuff that they can do.
Right.
WWE can't. That is popular enough with people. Right. They need to find the niche that actually draws. It's what we call it in this business.
Right.
and they're not drawing.
And again, I say the Joe Hendry stuff as a joke. I love him. He's actually a good wrestler. He's catchy. But TNA is getting more fucking... TNA, NXT, and WWE are getting way more views than anything AEW puts out.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that.
Again, to play the babyface for a second, the reason that I say all the shitty stuff about him is because I would rather they do good. The better they do, the better everyone does, right?
Keep everyone paid, baby.
This makes everything better. So
yeah,
and that's been my thing too. As long as people are getting the shot, getting the chance to go into that ring at a high level like that, it's only going to be good for everybody. And I'm more confident with AEW now than I am with WWE because of the fact that Tony Khan is a money mark. Because while we have criticisms of him booking, booking Ring of Honor, AEW, Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, and all that, he's not delegating, which, he should be. And I think that logistics-wise, I've heard nothing but good things about the atmosphere. When it comes to the fans, I've seen fans come back to wrestling because of AEW. They have probably one of the most inclusive rosters I've ever seen.
I won't lie. NJPW Bullet Club 2013-14 brought me back in. I will not lie. And AEW is a direct result of that. Exactly.
And without people looking at factors like Bullet Club, without that kind of exposure, we wouldn't have had AEW today. We wouldn't, we would have had more WWE and everyone stuck behind a paywall like we have with streaming. So,
or just indies and indie action
just
figure
indies,
companies.
yeah.
Like there is a lot to thank for that sort of 2013, 14, 15 resurgence that happened that led to AEW. Like we need them to exist. Also, they book like fucking dog shit, right?
I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're the worst at it. It's just good. It's bad booking with good wrestlers, and we get good matches out of it sometimes.
That's fair. I think that's a very fair conclusion to your editorial right there.
But speaking of an editorial, Lawrence, I know you mentioned this last week. You had questions. Bullet and I got answers. What do you got for us?
Okay, so when did the FTW belt come back, and why When was that? When did that happen?
That
'Cause
came back
Jericho
as
was
soon
the world
as
champ for a while, right?
Right, that came back as soon as Taz came in. He instantly brought that back. The first champion bullet, you might know, I think was Ricky Starks.
Yep.
And then Brian Cage had it for a second, and Ricky Starks got it back. It was a small thing. It's still treated the same, unsanctioned and street fight rules and all that. But yeah, that came back like as soon as Taz came back in.
So it's got. I mean, so Taz being there, honestly, to me, gives it more credibility than anything else. But
It's got. Here's the best way to. It does have his stamp on it, and his kid is training in wrestling, so there is a little bit of like, okay, like I'll give him that. Like I'll.
Yeah, I mean, but
give them that, and they brought back a graphic that was
hardcore
ECW style.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not hating the look of the belt. I'm just it just confused the shit out of me. I mean, it's like, okay, so you got, again, going back to Jericho. It's like, really, you need a belt so bad that they had to resurrect one from the bowels of wrestling history that means nothing to anybody except for the Philadelphia fans that were there for ECW Live. Again, but he's smart. He's got a fucking belt on him.
And it was a rare example. It got over, and it happened young enough in the company where it got over.
Sure, I mean, but it's not over now. It's not doing anything for Jericho to wear it, except maybe as a girdle of sorts.
I'm just glad people are getting
fuck
matches
my
like
waistline is actually what it stands for.
Right.
I can agree with that.
Okay. Leading into so you have on the card you have your regular AEW roster, right? And then you have folks from New Japan are also crashing the party along with Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And those folks all appear on the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Not
you'll
everybody,
see,
but like an interspersed.
Wherever they're fitting in the card. Yeah.
Are the people from New Japan and Ring of Honor on AEW money contracts?
Well, Ring of Honor is more of like the NXT of AEW. They're more developmental kind of now. So they'll come up regularly on
Ring
there.
of Honor are paid on AEW contracts.
So they're flat out
New
owned
Japan, I don't know how their crossover looks.
New Japan, I think that's a joint.
When you're in Japan, you're going to be getting a different type of paycheck anyway.
Yeah. But
well, the currency.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll be in yen, most likely.
But you'll see Minoru Suzuki come up out of Double or Nothing, or Hechicero coming up at an All In, something like that. Right. You'll see that international talent come through every now and then. So you'll see them.
All right. Well, I'll say this to finish everything off. Your editorial at the end there in defense of AEW, I will let stand until after All In, when I'm able to take notes and watch live.
Fair.
I almost think maybe we should all do a watch along for the next one, but I don't know what schedules will be like. So we'll have to wait.
Sunday. I just got hit up for a fucking watch along.
You're not available. Yeah, yep. You're booked. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll catch it afterwards, and I will. I'll rave and rant.
Well, I'll say this right now for All In. The card looks amazing. I am excited for this. Yeah. There's so much here I could talk about. I could go into this for hours, but we don't have that time, unfortunately. But
before we finish, run down the match card.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely do that. I love running down the match card. That'd be great. Starting off the 0 hour, Willow Nightingale is teaming up with Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan in a mixed tag against Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. That match was brought up, I believe, during Rampage for that story. Next one on here listed, Casino Gauntlet match. Orange Cassidy, the only one announced. There's going to be more coming up soon, but that's always got some good moments in those matches, I think. Any comments so far who you expect at the...
If Orange is the only one announced, I expect they're going to try and do a push with him. That's all I can throw up.
I think with the fact that they're only announcing Orange Cassidy, he's going to win it.
I also think Willow Nightingale will hold.
Yeah, her and Chris Statlander always put on good matches, and having it be a comedy match with Stokely is actually kind of funny to see. Especially because we get to see Ishii beat his ass. So that's always fun. FTW Championship match, Chris Jericho versus Hook. That's, of course, we were just talking about that one. Trios Championship match, the Patriarchy, Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus, Killswitch rather, taking on the Bang Bang Gang or House of Black. That one's still up in the air. I believe that one is being determined on Collision.
What are the belts for that one again? What are they called?
That one is the AEW Trios Championships.
So it's like a 6-man tag deal.
6-man tag, yeah.
Yeah.
But in business, as much as you would hate it, Christian Cage is literally worse than you ever were right now as a heel. So I think there's some potential.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I caught some of his promo going into it. I was more, to be honest with you, I was more curious about what the fucking belts were. And then now that I know they're basically the Texas belts, I am curious to watch the match.
Speaking of which,
it's like the Von Erich.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the current Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions right now are Dustin Rhodes and Ross and Marshall Von Erich. I am happy for that right now. Good match too, and I kind of teared up a little bit because Ross and Marshall went up to Big Daddy Kevin and just gave him the belts and just handed it to him. Oh, such a good moment. That's
great. That's absolutely one of the strongest things they have going for him right now.
And is it Dustin by himself?
Yeah, he teamed up with them to when he won those. I think, and
no,
then now
is it a Dustin 1v2?
He's one of the three. It's trios, 6-man tag.
Okay.
TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné defending against Britt Baker. Britt Baker coming off of a very hyped return, also suspension recently.
Right.
But this one's going to be good. The build for this had to be carried by Mercedes and Camille, and good for them because that worked out really well. That's going to be a good match. AEW American Championship match, MJF defending against Will Ospreay. MJF in his MAGA era for his heel character, and it's I don't know why seeing him say those headlines is kind of funny to me.
No, I'm on somebody else. Who else has a middle comment? I have to wait.
I drew a blank. I started thinking about something else.
If you watched WWE and
so MJF has made it very clear that even as a very clearly Jewish performer, that he's not MAGA and he's not pro sort of genocide, and those are not topics which should be touched on in wrestling. And I'm gonna get those fucking hate comments now.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that he absolutely has every right with that level of audience to say those things and clarify how he's saying, like, I'm the opposite of Hulk Hogan's America.
Well, no, that's a good indie card, like hometown, either babyface or heel angle or gimmick, right? I mean, that's
they love you or fucking hate you,
right?
And it can work because it could lead to some good matches, good title matches. I mean, JBL.
Wembley Stadium. Do you think people give a shit about MAGA? I don't think that's. I mean, that's going over like a lead balloon, brother.
Yeah. And with a company like AEW, it kind of falls short of the kind of message that you would throw out there. I mean, WWE's been the best at, pissing off the Uber the Uber Americans, the backwoods people and all that.
No, but I'm also not gonna let this show get published without saying UK not seeing him as MAGA doesn't mean anything. He's doing a sort of parody,
right?
And the majority of us in the US, the MAGA thing can go fuck itself in the asshole.
I mean, it's not really any different than the Iron Sheik and Lord.
Sergeant
Sergeant Slaughter.
And, yeah,
Hogan,
all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah,
It's not any different than any of that stuff. It just seems a little highbrow political theater for an AEW show in England.
And for a time where honestly, like, we all know who's a fucking retard and who knows who's not.
Right. And I think that with AEW, it falls short because they're not connected like WWE is on that regard. So it kind of...
No, they get 310,000 viewers a week.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense for them to do something like that. And really all that's about is just to put over the fact that MJF won the international title. That's really all it is. But then it's absolutely not gonna get to the extent where he's gonna go down like JBL and go to the border, beating up illegals crossing the border, and having, if you guys don't know, I put up air quotes for that. But I think that it's just funny to see and hear MJF pull all that off, because he's such a great heel. He doesn't need to do any political stuff. So
yeah, when it's inferred, it's always better.
Yeah,
you get more mileage out of that when people can put their own label on it than you doing it yourself.
Yeah, I agree. But anyways, we are getting to the end here. Next time we're gonna give a review. Bullet, you had your hand up. What's up? What are we missing here?
I just want to talk shit with you guys for like 3 more hours.
I want to talk shit with you for 3 more hours, but you guys won't let me.
I want to go to bed. I want to go.
All right, Maverick, bring us home.
Next week we're gonna talk about the results from All In. I'm excited for it. I know Bullet is. I hope that Lawrence is, because I expect it to be a full house again.
If I get any more excited, I'm gonna piss all over the floor.
I've had to clean up after you so many fucking times.
It's a medical condition.
Too much information if you ask me, but I digress. Guys, thank you so much. Please be sure you like, make sure you subscribe. If you're excited for anything at All In, please leave a comment below. Guys, it's been a pleasure again. We'll see you all next week. Later, everybody.